it's Manisha.
And Shirley from Make It Shine Money.
On today's podcast, we discuss everything about outlet shopping.
Do you really get a better deal? Keep listening to learn more.
This is not a lie. Yeah, I'm gonna make it shine, make it shine, make it shine, make it shine.
We've got another excellent episode here about shopping, Shirley. So my family got really excited about it when I told them.
That's right, Manisha. And it's not just shopping, it's outlet shopping. It's a totally different category of shopping for the hardcore shoppers out there.
Yes, outlets are where retailers sell their excess stock at discounted prices.
Yeah, it's all about the hunt for a deal. And their stock gets refreshed often. And there's also the thought of, hey, this is my last chance to buy it. If I missed it in the normal retail stores, now it's at the outlets.
Yes, me too. I love shopping at outlets. And actually, what I really like is it becomes a big trip. You know, you can get a few friends. You're going to go to this big outlet mall. There's something there for everybody.
And growing up in Edmonton, there weren't any within driving distance. So when I was older and started to travel, I remember outlet shopping in Florida. And my first impressions were that things were so cheap.
Yeah, me too. And I remember, like I said, it was a whole family thing, right? We get into the car, we drive to the outlets, we go to Niagara. Outlet shopping is a popular shopping channel. And like other channels, the industry fluctuates with our economy and how much disposable income people have.
Yeah, and I think the psychology of going to outlet mall versus a normal mall is totally different too. And the commitment level is different. And because outlets are usually outside the city and takes time to get to, just getting to the destination could take up to more than an hour versus going to your local mall.
Yeah, and it's a fun activity to do with friends and family. So, like, let's say I just need a new top. You know, I'm probably just going to go stop by the Eaton Center or go to a mall by myself.
Yeah.
But if I'm planning to go to the outlet, I mean, I'm texting my friends, my parents. I'm making a long list, right? And I want to see if they have a long list and they want to come along. So it's at least a half-day event with, like, a meal in between.
Yeah, and when you're at an outlet location outside of the city, there's also this added pressure to buy everything at once, right? Like what you just said, because you've already invested the time to get there. And it's not just gas that you have to pay for. Sometimes it could be even a flight because tourism is a huge part of the outlet industry. So you're more inclined to make a few impulsive purchases too. And I know I've been caught up with that feeling for sure.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And there's actually some mixed reports about the status of the outlet shopping industry, as it was really impacted heavily by the pandemic. So, for example, one report says that foot traffic to both retail and outlet stores actually continued to be down 9 to 15% compared to pre-COVID.
I could see that. And some outlet groups reported that sales were up 20% compared to pre-pandemic times because people viewed it as a safer way to shop, as outlets are often an outdoor experience. So they rather drive in their cars to the destination and go only into the stores that they need to.
Yeah, and since outlets are typically quite far away from city centers, I mean, they're not easy to get to. So recent high gas prices have also been cited as a reason for a decline, people just going outlet shopping.
Yes, and one of the reasons why outlets are so far away from the city center is because retailers like paying lower rent. So usually outlets are part of an open air outdoor location and maintenance fees are a lot lower. And usually it's only just one floor. There aren't even escalators. It's a much simpler setup.
Okay, so outlets actually started almost 100 years ago. Can you believe it? In 1930.
Very cool.
And they were actually originally just meant to sell excess stock, right? And this was actually just for their employees at a discounted price. But obviously, as we know now, they're all over the world. There's over 450 outlet centers in the world. 80% of them are in North America and Europe. And the biggest outlet in the world is going to be in Dubai.
Oh,
so
of
the
course.
The Dubai Outlet Mall is under renovation right now because they want to be obviously bigger than the competitor. Everything's bigger in Dubai. There'll be 3.8 million square feet versus Florida's Sawgrass Mills at 2.4 million square feet.
Yeah, we gotta go. We can definitely spend the whole day there. And if you're familiar with outlet shopping, you've probably been to one of these outlet brands, premium outlets or the villages. And the ones in Europe are next level, especially if you're shopping for luxury brands. They've got all the big names there. You got Dior, Celine, Gucci, Prada, and way more.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're in Europe, not only do you get a deal at the outlet, you also get your VAT tax back. So you could be saving quite a bit.
I know. Could you ever imagine, like, growing up, like, oh yeah, you could get Gucci at the outlet store? Just it just sounds so not on brand for them. Anyway, yeah, things do appear cheaper, right, Shirley? But there's a reason for it, because it's not just people trying to get rid of old inventory. Some retailers actually purposely develop a cheaper line to sell at the outlet stores. Like, Coach or Ralph Lauren do this?
Yeah, so on the surface, the items may look identical, but when you look closer at the material, it's very different. So you're not actually getting a deal. You're just getting a lower quality item, and that's why the price is lower.
Actually, Coach went down this road quite heavily. And I remember because their target market at a time was suburban moms. And if you recall, like a few years ago, it really impacted their brand. It went quite down market because they were focusing on creating these lower quality items at the outlet store. And the market was flooded with it. Everywhere you went, somebody was having that Coach bag with a C print. According to Time magazine, 85% of the items sold at outlet malls were actually never sold at traditional malls in the first place. So even big box stores like Nordstrom and Saks Fifth Avenue, they have between 12 to 20% of the items in their outlet stores are from normal stores, but the rest of the inventory is actually specifically sourced for these outlets.
Yes, there was a lawsuit against Gap in 2019 because their Gap and Banana Republic outlet stores faked their pricing to lead customers to believe that the price in the outlets were much lower than at the regular retail stores. But these items were never in the stores in the first place.
I actually remember seeing this. There's one dress, and the difference was that the dress in the store had pockets, and the dress in the outlet mall didn't have pockets, and that's kind of what they thought it was. But it was much more. It was different quality.
Yes.
It was completely different. They're like, oh, you're getting it at 50% off. But the reality, it's a completely different product. So yeah. So Shirley, how could people be smarter about this?
Well, just being aware that 85% of merchandise never started at the retail store is one thing.
Such a scam, right? I mean, I think in many cases, if you like their brand and style, having lower quality fabrics with a lower price tag might be okay for you, but you have to know it's not the same thing. It's not going to last as long, for instance.
Also, it doesn't mean you can't get a good deal and have a great time shopping at the outlets. I always have a great time. And a good rule of thumb is don't buy anything that isn't further marked down at the outlets.
That's a good point. So here are 7 tips on making the most of your outlet shopping experience.
Tip number 1, the time and day of your visit matters. Avoid going between 4 to 6 p.m. or Fridays to Sundays.
Parking, oh my goodness, is always a disaster on weekends. Also, some of the stores limit the number of people allowed. I know that a lot of stores actually have a lineup, right, to get in. So you don't want to stand in line waiting to get in an outlet store.
Yeah, especially in the winters. And majority of the outlets I'm thinking about in Canada are outdoors. Also, if it's a store that you go to often, ask their sales associate what day of the week they replenish their stock to.
That's perfect. Tip number 2, go to the back of the stores. So one of my friends, she always makes a beeline to the back of the store because that's where the clearance is and that's where you're likely to get the biggest discounts.
Yeah, very smart. She disappears seconds after we get into the store.
Just gone.
And she slowly makes her way from back to front. So tip number 3 is to dress comfortably. Have you ever seen that scene on Friends? Monica takes Rachel and Phoebe to a wedding dress sale event.
Yes, it's actually one of my favorites. I remember they had whistles, and I think pretty sure that Monica's wearing running shoes.
Yeah, so your outfit for the outlets is important. Bring a crossbody bag because you want to be hands-free when you're going through the racks, and wear clothes that you can slip on and off easily in the change room.
Or you could be like my friend and not even change in the change room, right? That's another
Exactly.
thing people do.
You do what you can.
Okay, tip number 4, find out what their return policy is. So there's a chance that the retailer's return policy is not the same as what you're used to at the traditional store, right? It's kind of the same thing. Even though they're the same brand, they have the same signage on the door, they're very different, both in terms of maybe the clothes and definitely in terms of their policy. The return window usually is shorter, so you want to check that. Or maybe there isn't one at all and it's a final sale.
That's right. And sometimes they do allow returns, but you have to return it at the outlet.
Yes.
You can't go back to the normal store. So make sure you're very sure about the item before you buy it.
Okay, tip number 5, don't get sucked in with the discount. So remember, there's elements of deceptive pricing at these outlets. So even if they say, hey, this is 90% off, that doesn't matter. Actually check the price.
I know. Sometimes I still get sucked in. And then I have to remind myself, wait, 90% doesn't mean anything because the actual price is still high and not a deal. Which leads to tip number 6. Plan your visit, your wish list, and your budget.
Yeah, you know how they say never go grocery shopping on an empty stomach? So this is the same idea.
So there was a survey done by Field Agent, and they asked 2,500 shoppers if they use a shopping list. And of those that said that they do, 44% spent less money.
And our last tip, number 7, it's okay to leave empty-handed.
Think about all the money you just saved by not shopping.
Right. This is a sunk cost fallacy. A lot of times people are like, oh my goodness, I drove so long. I came with all these people. I feel like I have to buy something. You don't. Your time getting there, the gas, whatever, it's a sunk cost. Think of it just as a vacation trip. And here's a bonus tip. Many retailers actually have outlet stores online now, right? So save time, just go online.
That's right, Manisha. Love all the tips, and we hope you enjoyed this episode and find a great deal the next time you go shopping at the outlets.
Share your best outlet deal with us by sending us a message on TikTok or Instagram at Make It Shine Money. And don't forget to make it shine.
This little light of mine, yeah, I'm gonna make it shine, make it shine, make it shine, make it shine.
Any views or opinions represented in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the podcast creators and do not represent those of people, institutions, or organizations that the owner may or may not be associated with in professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated.